What is going on? Listen, she is definitely brisk this morning, but that's cool because my friends over at BougeRV sent me sort of a little secret weapon. Now, not only is this a highly fashionable, Whoopi style outdoor blanket, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. All right, let's start at the beginning. Comes in a really nice box, right? The back of the box pretty much explains the controls, the wattage, everything you're going to need to know is going to be right on the back of this box. Not really a directions needed kind of scenario. So now you get this package right here. So this comes in a vacuum sealed Ziploc bag. That's completely reusable. So if you were interested in storing this a little more compact, or maybe you had an air pump or something that you could use the intake for a vacuum, you could vacuum seal it for yourself every time. I'm just going to rock it in this nice little silky nylon bag they sent along with it. Pretty standard. This thing comes out. And, like I said, Whoopi style nylon on the outside. Nice green camouflage pattern I picked myself. They also make this in blue currently, I believe. So one of the things about this that I've fallen in love with is if you notice on the inside right here, it looks like they skinned a camel and put it in here. This is like a microfiber, but it's so thick and dense that it really has a micro suede kind of a feeling to it. And it's just completely comfortable against the skin. All right, so as far as size goes, you're talking about 4 feet wide. And then as far as length, 5 foot 10 inches. This covers all the way to the ground right over my head. I mean, I'm 5'10", so this is exactly, like they say it is. All right, so let's look how the mechanics on this thing work. Put it up on here on the table. Like I said, this micro suede on the inside. So what they do is right up, a couple inches from the top, right here in this center piece is where the heat-in mechanism is. And you can sort of see the wires that run through it. What they did was they put a concentration up here at the top. They went fairly lean in the middle. And then down by your feet right here, 3-4 inches from the bottom up to about a foot, they have extra coils again for heating up your feet. All right, so let's talk about wiring and control. Nice, convenient little pocket right here, zipper pocket. Keeps everything nice and compact. It's all put together. You're not going to get a bunch of cords or any variety with this one. It all fits together nice. A little control handle that leads to your 12-volt plug. It has the slots to make it into a cape on both sides. And nothing super fancy, just a little set of controls and the 12-volt plug. Now, they do make an app for this. Very rudimentary. It's just basically, is it on and what level are you on? Very, very simple. Now, they say this is going to run at 48 watts. I had it plugged in. I used it last night. I've had it plugged in, testing it out a few times here and there. I could only really get it to run 42, 44 watts. So what this thing does is instead of having varied watt levels, right? Maybe you plug it in on low and it's 20 and then it goes all the way up to 48. This unit stays up at the 42 to 44 range, but it cycles. So if you have it on 5 of the settings, 5 different heat settings, it is going to be completely on all the time. If you switch it down to 1, what it does is it cycles on for a little while, then cycles back off. Now, the higher the setting is, the longer it stays on between cycles. All right, so as far as power goes, just a simple, like I said, a 12-volt plug. I carry a couple of these little power packs. This one right here is going to be 216 watts. I turned this thing on about 9 o'clock last night. I ran it on high just for a few minutes to see what that looked like. Mostly slept last night with a mix of 2 and 3. I had it on 4 for a few minutes this morning when I climbed back in. But so we're looking at, medium to low power. This is only 200 watts. I still got 9-10 hours out of the thing. I woke up this morning when I took this off the charger. This thing had about 3% left in it. So, I used up every bit of the 200 watts. All right, so even though this is a tiny control box, like I said, it does hook to an app. with the remote here, you can get 3 hours worth of timer settings. If you use the app, you can set a timer up to 10 hours for this. Just a simple controls, comes on with a long press of the button. It's got an array of numbers up here. It's got actually only 3 dots, but then some little markings that tell you 1, 2, 3, and then the first 2 is 4 and the second 2 is 5. So 5 different heat settings. All right, I'm a tropical people, so take it for what it's worth. Right down to about 50 something degrees, I was fine with just the blanket itself. It wasn't until it started sliding below 50 that I cranked it up a little bit. Like I said, I ran most last night on 2 and 3. All right, so I've actually tried other electric blankets out camping. I got a little more expensive one, $30 or $40 one, and then I copped a $15 one at clearance at Walmart, kind of a flannel deal. With those units, definitely way ridgier on the elements, so it was something you could feel a lot more inside that heater. And those ran a variable. The more expensive ran at 35, 40 watts. The cheap one ran at 15. It was almost completely useless. All right, so in camp, sitting in my chair, possibly at the races, any kind of outdoor activity where it's going to get cold eventually, and you want to be able to ramp up, the heat that you're receiving. Generally, in the past, when I do these electric blanket kind of things, I actually use this as a mattress topper and let my heat come from the bottom, and then I pull over a blanket over the top. Like I said, I used this last night as a blanket on top of me. Now, there was a point in time where I woke up in the middle of the night and I had must have been getting kind of warm because I had shed the blanket. The thing about it is this giant radiator just sitting over next to me, in how little my rooftop tent is, I think it was just warming the air in the atmosphere, which kept the tent just a little toastier on the inside. All right, so these guys at BougeRV, normally known for doing refrigeration and for doing air conditionings, things like that, have dipped their toe into the heating market. Not only do I have this blanket right here, they sent me a diesel heater I'm going to try out pretty soon on the rooftop tent and see how that goes. If you want to check this blanket out and see if it might be right for you, I'm going to leave a link in the description. I appreciate y'all. Take it easy.